This question is, I would love to peek inside some well-established books of centuries to get a better idea of what it should look like. We encourage people to make their book of centuries a reflection of their own personalities and preferences. For example, I'm a list person, so my book of centuries is full of lists. My friend's is full of sketches with captions, because that's how she thinks. So there's not really a right or wrong way to go about it, but I'll be happy to show you a few pages from various books of centuries to give you some ideas. It can be as simple as the 100-year timestamp at the top and blank pages to fill as you choose. Here's an example. This one has events with specific dates on this page, and people who lived during this century on this page. Favorite books are also listed. This is my attempt at making little book icons to show that these are favorite books. I have attempted to make little music notes or little paintbrushes. For those of you who are not familiar with the Book of Centuries, it is a powerful tool that can be used across many school subjects. As the student learns about people in history, whether they are explorers, kings, poets, Bible characters, musicians, scientists, artists, whatever, the student enters them on the appropriate century pages of his Book of Centuries. Now, the genius of this method is that as he adds new entries, he sees what else he has already studied in that same century, and he starts to make connections for himself. We usually recommend that you keep a family book of centuries while the children are younger. Then, once a student's handwriting is well established, give him his own. This is a very basic Book of Centuries design. You can also include some components that are similar to the notebooks Charlotte Mason's students created. Like this Century at a Glance chart. Each cell represents 1 year out of the 100. This chart is great for getting a wide panorama of the century and seeing how events relate to each other. For example, here is World War I, and here is World War II. You can see how close they were to each other. Charlotte's students also sketched artifacts from the various centuries, so you could include that component too. These are sample pages from the My Book of Centuries that we have available. Here are some pages from students who are using that book. These are some pages from a 7th grade boy who just started using it this year. Notice how he added a note of personal interest that the Cubs won the World Series in 1908. And here are pages from a 10th grade girl who started this one in 8th grade. As you can see, she has covered more history. And she added personal notes about favorite authors. A book of centuries can be as simple or as elaborate as you want it to be. The main thing is to keep the goal in mind. It should be a notebook that reflects your unique, growing relations with the stories of those who have lived before us.